Are you one of those people who believe that the universe has no boundaries? Well, you're probably wrong. Instead, researchers have now found very simple proof that our universe must have a boundary. But that doesn't mean that creation stops behind this wall. What is this wall behind, and how is it? Here we present you a world from many systems and borders. Quite simply, natural science is based on observation and logical conclusions. There is a little bit of mathematics and experiments to solve the great mystery of whether our universe is finite. The researchers didn't even have to pick up a pen or use a computer. Just looking at what's obvious is all that was required. Hang tight and enjoy the ride because we're going for a ride in the cosmos. In the Milky Way, the galaxy we call home, our starting point is at the gates. This is telling us our galaxy is a closed system that contains many other systems. Galaxy itself is considered as a separate thing which moved through the cosmos. The two nearest and pretty small galaxies, the Small and Large Magellanic Clouds, are 165,000 and 200,000 light-years away, respectively. Andromeda is a full 2.537 million light-years away and is the next larger galaxy. These other galaxies, however, are self-contained systems with their own definite boundary, but it's clear. Among galaxies, millions or even billions of star systems exist forming self-contained entities with boundaries and lots of space between each and its nearest neighbor. Now we know that there are very likely more than 500 billion galaxies in the universe we know about so far. A supermassive black hole called Sagittarius A is in the center of the Milky Way. Black holes are severely mysterious, interact intensely with everything around them, and are very likely to be involved in the formation of galaxies. There, black holes dance their very own dance. With armaments, they can move, mingle with, and merge with other black holes. But before we enter the solar system again, where our Earth is located, we head straight out of one of our outer spiral arms into the solar system, where we discover it all again, our Earth, our Sun, and our solar planets. These are also small worlds in a much bigger one. If we find Venus, Mars, and an exoplanet in the Milky Way, the Earth is still one of those. We have a green, living planet. And on other planets, you get ice volcanism. You have methane planet. Like us, there are thousands and thousands of smaller other worlds within these worlds. Imagine this: a hive of bees, a colony of ants, a settlement of microbes. We don't have a clear boundary to our Earth, but it does exist. Still, scientists. The atmosphere of the planet ends at this point, but so does the magnetic field of the Earth. It follows the same way with all other planets, showing a variation of their borderlines. For example, planets like Mars have no atmosphere. However, also clearly measurable somewhere, their sphere of influence ends. If we fly to the end of the solar system, then at some point or another, we will pass the heliopause in the universe. The official end of a sun's sphere of influence is the heliopause. From nearly 621,000 mlp, the speed of the solar wind here abruptly drops. Then, after a stretch of no wind at all, our spacecraft enters the storms of interstellar space. Our spaceship jerks here as well. You probably see Cosmos 9, and that means we've clearly flown over the boundary of the solar system. We look around. Some and realize the whole system encased in some kind of protective skin of photons and other particles. A little later on, we run into a barrier of matter in the Oort cloud. Millions of asteroids and comets, all of them remnants from the formation of the solar system. Now, our guide tells us that we'll soon have to accelerate to faster than light speed. We are free-flying now through this huge space and will come to know the end of the universe. We see a short presentation about the size of the universe during the flight. Our onboard professor of astronomy tells us that we know of millions of galaxies. Our Milky Way, the Magellanic Clouds, the Andromeda Galaxy, and many more galaxies all belong to the local galaxy cluster. Again, this is a part of the Virgo supercluster. further explanations, you will learn the biggest phenomena in space. Pictures of the Sloan Great Wall, also called the Great Wall of Sloan, will be something you will witness. It's 1.38 billion light-years wide, and not only that, it's one object, out of all of our known universe with a discernible border we can perceive. The Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall is another odd structure with a diameter of 10 billion light-years. And we also see galaxy collisions, supernova explosions, and quasars. And we live that the universe, all the structures and the edges that are in it, are always moving. We are there. The whole of this flight was really entertaining, and the real destination of our journey is announced by our captain. It being pitch dark is the end of the universe, large spotlights are activated. If we weren't, we wouldn't even be able to see what's opening up before our panorama window in our spaceship. Everyone holds their breath. Great Wall, the end of our known universe, there it is. An opaque, slightly shimmering bulge. You can probably almost fly through the border itself almost. Makes it feel like it's transparent. But our astronomy professor explains after all that the wall cannot be touched by matter, it cannot be crossed. In the direct area of influence of the wall, there are extreme distortions of time and space. We can't get close enough and probably have to admire the wall from far away. Even if one cannot reach the border, researchers have already figured out quite some theories as to what is inside of the wall. In fact, we now know almost for certain that our universe is not the only one. If that were the case, we wouldn't be building a wall. The wall at the same time protects and is a border because behind it a supposedly other, perhaps real world starts, in which everything is characterized by other physical laws than are ours. This cosmos could have it all exactly reversed. Time was running backwards, or matter only was in its two-dimensional form. There are worlds like this that we cannot yet travel to, as we are tied to our physical bodies and wouldn't survive these stark changes. There are some researchers who are sure they've received messages from living beings from other dimensions. Trying to crack the messages, they deduced these life forms aren't made of matter, but consciousness. One day, we will be able to travel between dimensions as spiritual beings. That is certain according to our scientists. Many other universes exist. Many years ago, the supervoids provided evidence for the existence of other universes. Conspicuous spots in the cosmic web also revealed traces for collisions with other universes there. They are cosmic scar tissue, these patches. At about 1 billion light-years near the universe's outskirts, there's the vast area of space dominated by the Idona supervoid, where galaxies are few and far between. It's almost the largest of its kind. A group of researchers studied the distribution of galaxies in the universe in 2004. Theories say the few galaxies and voids arise because of the way dark energy and dark matter are distributed, or their effect on gravitational forces. There were structures inside the voids that resembled scar tissue in the fine cosmic filament. Some calculation later, researchers hit the astonishing conclusion that they were in fact exactly right about their first impression. At this point, there was plenty of evidence that two universes had collided. These universes presumably scraped past each other and hurt each other, much as galaxies come together. Nevertheless, universes can merge if there is a similar physical structure between them. Even quantum researchers assume there are invisible dimensions of our universe which also are universes in their own right. Our cosmos could not only be a Russian doll, with one inside the other, but also be crisscrossed and connected to other dimensions. Beyond the wall, it goes on. We can go back to our imagination of the big plasma wall of our universe. The wall is so high nobody can cross this far. First, gigantic spaces of nothingness can be right where you are, directly behind the wall. Yet it is inconceivable that a creation from out of the little ones towards the great would contain nothing but an end. Likely our universe is just one of many, as is our solar system and our galaxy. Endlessly in universes could be superordinated structures still larger. in dimensions which we can only imagine with difficulty. We could have an entire universe in a grain of sand on a beach on an unimaginably large world. Perhaps our Sun and Earth are perceived by researchers from other dimensions exactly the way we view the dance of electrons and protons. Wait a minute, you may now be saying. Please, what are the extremities above and destination below the subatomic? Couldn't there be a limit upward then? In a way, you're right. Our measuring techniques fail at the border of the Heisenberg uncertainty, and the measurable particle state defined, and thus measurable, becomes an unstable wave state that is no more measurable. And so this does not mean that once created, there is no more. However, if the particles jump over into the wave state, they basically mean an almost inexhaustible potential. Apparently, very probably, it is also nothing but a border to a whole other dimension or even to another universe. Researchers suspect little has been explored in these regions, also in forms of negative matter still very little studied. If we can do this with a little fantasy, we can imagine here entrances into mirror negative or parallel worlds in which completely different, slightly changed or extended physical laws apply. It very probably behaves in very analogous way as in us upwards. Here also the limits of matter can be. While superior worlds might not consist of matter and can, by their nature, only contain pure energy or other forces and substances of which we are not able to conceive so far or would otherwise simply be empty. Finally, we state the question of how high the probability that there is nothing behind the wall of the universe. These theories also exist, but quantum physics doesn't agree. The nothing and all of the emptiness of the universe probably do not really exist at all, as a branch of physics has acknowledged. A place without any measurable physical activity, a perfect balance of all forces, is what we call physical nothingness. And within this nothing there is no nothing, but potential for all things. But inside, quite certainly, there lurks forms of energy, and perhaps forms of matter which are as yet unknown to us. However, if there really is nothingness behind the borders of our universe, it's very unlikely it's endless nothingness. But how do you see it? The big nothing, an infinite creation of infinity divided by itself in an incredible variety of universes and dimensions. Can you ever imagine it, or do you believe in an infinite nothing?